Good afternoon and welcome to Bradenton, Kiwanis. I'm your president, Heather Doyle, this year of the club. I'd like to welcome our St. Joe's Builders Club, their advisors. I would like to ask the advisors, Valerie Longo and Andy Miner, to come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy Miner. I'm the local sponsor for the St. Joe's Builders Club, and Valerie, she does most of the work, so I'm going to let her introduce our president.
All right, thank you so much for having us. This is one of the events that the Builders Club look forward to all year long, and thank you for your support. We're glad to kind of reactivate the club again this year after having a lull last year. We have a bunch of 8th graders, so 8th graders, raise your hands. And a couple 7th graders, and then we have a few 6th graders up here. So we've got a good line. We'll have a good lineup for the next few years of strong members, and I believe most of them were K-Kids before that, stemming from K-Kids at St. Joseph. So we're really happy to be here. And Olivia Zeppi is our president. She's going to come up here and just say hello. And then we also want to say thank you to Jerry Bennett, who's up front. He drove our bus here. And Deborah Owens. Deborah Owens is in the back. She is our faculty advisor who keeps everything on the up and up at the school. So thank you. Olivia?
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Olivia Zeppi, the president of Builders Club at St. Joseph's Catholic School. We are a service group that helps our school and our community. I love being the president. It's a lot of fun. We do lots and lots of wonderful activities. We did a coat drive earlier in the year. We have an after-school program where some children are tutoring younger kids with math and English. They enjoy that. And right now we are raising money for our Builders Club through selling flowers for Mother's Day. And thank you so much for hosting us this afternoon with this wonderful lunch and field trip. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olivia. It's so great to see our future leaders, and that's what Bradenton Kiwanis is all about. We've sponsored a number of additional K-Kids. We've got this one back up and running, and that's because of all of you. Without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you our Sheriff, Rick Wells. Rick Wells was sworn in as Sheriff of Manatee County January 3rd, 2017. He was with the Palmetto Police. He was the Palmetto Police Chief from 2010 to 2015. He spent 21 years at the Florida Highway Patrol, where he was promoted to the rank of sergeant. Cumulatively, Sheriff Wells has spent over 31 years in law enforcement. He was born in Tampa, Florida, moving to Manatee County in 1978. He graduated from Manatee High in 1982, attended Manatee Junior College, and has his Associate of Science degree in Criminal Justice Administration from Columbia Southern University. He is also a graduate of St. Leo University, Command Officer Management Program. Sheriff Wells was named the Manatee County Law Enforcement Officer of the Year in 1991. He received the Manatee County Whitey Knudsen Award in 1991, Unidos Now Visionary Award in 2012, the NAACP Humanitarian Award in 2014, and the Edgar H. Price Jr. Humanitarian Award in 2016. I could go on, but I want to make sure that we have enough time for him. I'm so blessed and lucky that he is our sheriff in our community. It is with great pleasure that I announce to you Sheriff Rick Wells.
Every time I hear that bio, I remember how young I used to be and how old I am getting now. So a great turnout today. Love to see the kids here. It's just always amazing to see our young people at work. And unfortunately, in law enforcement, we don't really get to share the good times with them as much as I would like. So it's always nice to be able to interact with them. And there's a lot of positive things going on in our community with our young people. We just need, the media maybe to report more of that and to get out there and really take a look at what's going on. So it's my job to talk to you about crime. So I'm the downer of the day. I'm going to just go over some of the things that we went through in 2017, and please ask any questions if you like during my talk, after, whatever is good for you. So as you know, we have 511 sworn positions. These are certified deputies in Manatee County. Those deputies work the road, they work in the courthouse, they serve all the warrants in the county, they serve all of the civil papers in the county, and they have a lot to do to keep our community safe. We have about 270 that basically do nothing but answer calls all day. So last year in 2017, we answered 331,000 calls for service, an average of about 994 calls per day. Those of you that have been here a long time, this is no longer our grandparents' Manatee County. As you know, the population continues to grow. We serve, just in the unincorporated area of Manatee County, about 282,000 people. That does not include what goes on in the city, the tourists, the traffic, everything else that goes on in our county. In 2016, we had a decrease of 15.1% reduction in crime. In 2017, we saw another 7.4% decrease in crime. So as you know, every year you're fighting against last year's numbers. So we continue to try to do everything that we can to use the resources that we have available to fight crime. But it's hard to continue to be proactive when you're handling 900 plus calls a day. As we continue to build north and east, we struggle to maintain that proactive patrol that we need to prevent crime. So everything that we want to do is prevention. That's our primary goal in law enforcement, to try to prevent crime from occurring. But when you've got a deputy that's working north side and he's got 10 to 15 miles of territory to cover, it becomes difficult. So we continue to work with the county commissioners, we continue to try to get more positions. They're aware of it. They gave us 10 last year. We'll ask for more this year, and hopefully we'll be able to work out a deal so we can keep up with the growth. I don't think that I have to focus too much. I think we all know this county is growing. I think we know every time you hit State Road 70 or you go down State Road 64, you know that the traffic is terrible. That's another problem that we have run into. The Florida Highway Patrol, to say that they are staffed below their ratio is really, it's worse than that. At times you have one trooper working on a day shift. So you have one trooper working in a county covering all the crashes that occur outside of the municipalities, and it cannot be done. We've had to pick up a lot of that slack and help them out as much as we can. They are so short that they just cannot keep troopers on the road. I know that the governor has worked with them on that. I know that the colonel of the Highway Patrol, Gene Spalding, they're aware of it. But we're picking up a lot of that extra work because we can't let people sit out there on the side of the road 3 and 4 hours after they've been involved in a crash. So we do as much as we can, but when we do that, that's taking that deputy out of that zone. Once again, it's taking them away from that proactive response time that we need, that proactive patrolling that goes on that prevents what we want. We want to prevent the crime from occurring in the first place. So we had a 7.4% decrease in crime. We had 16 homicides last year. That's down, even though it doesn't sound like it. But we were able to solve all but 2. And we have the other 2. We know where we're going on the other 2. We just have to continue to work on the evidence needed to bring them to Heather. and we're getting close on that. But homicides are just something you cannot prevent. You don't know when they're going to occur. You don't know what's going on in people's minds at time. If you do prevent one, you're lucky. You just happen to be at the right place at the right time. Most of the homicides that we have dealt with in Manatee County have been drug related. Just about every single one of them. And we continue to fight that fight as well. One thing that continues to hurt us when it comes to burglaries is vehicle burglaries. Vehicle burglaries are probably the easiest way for criminals to get whatever they're looking for. If they want to break into a car, unfortunately, we make it easy for them. We don't lock our doors. We leave laptops, guns, computers, everything in their car, wallets, purses, and all they do is go through our neighborhoods, and they just look inside of our vehicles. Most of the time, this will happen at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when we're all asleep. They will just walk, and they don't have to make a sound. They'll check the door handle. If it's locked, they'll go on to the next one until they find. It's not very often will we have a criminal that has to bash in a window. They don't want to make that noise. Usually they just have to check the door handle and it'll be open. I can tell you we've had people, unfortunately, and we've tried to give them all the crime prevention tips that we can, that have been victimized, gotten property back from insurance, and then left that same item in the car once again, only to be victimized a second time. So I would urge you to talk to your family, talk to your employees, employers. Just the word has to get out there somehow, some way, because obviously we're not doing a good job at it as much as we try. Is that we have to remove personal belongings from our car. It's just that simple. You got to pay attention to your surroundings in the parking lots, But most of the time, when we have vehicle burglaries, they happen at our home at night because we left those belongings in there. So if you could help me out on that a little bit, I would appreciate it. Just getting the word out, just talking about it. We do a lot of PSAs. We do a lot of talks. We try to get with people as much as we can and get that information to them. But I know we're in a hurry. Everybody's in a hurry. They get out of their car. They forget about what's in there. And when they get back to it, it's gone. So we'll continue to work on that. When I took office in January of last year, the biggest concern that we had at that time, and we still have it now, was the heroin epidemic. You can call it the heroin epidemic. You can call it opioid epidemic. You can call it fentanyl and carfentanil epidemic. It doesn't really matter. These drugs that are out there are killing our people. They are killing our community, our family members, our loved ones, our friends. My plan was to make sure that we were, one, helping the victims, taking care of the victims in any way that we could. We started Operation Lifesaver, and my main goal was to do this, to let victims of drug abuse know that they can come to us. They can call us, call 911. We will come to you. We'll pick you up. We'll take you to treatment. We will get rid of all your paraphernalia, all your drugs properly in our evidence room, but just call us. This is what happens, and you know this, is that when someone is addicted to something as powerful as heroin, they lose their friends, they lose their family, they lose their finances, they lose it all. So at times when they really have reached their lowest moment and they are begging for help, there's nobody there to help them. We've had some success with this, believe it or not, some intervention where we have just made ourselves available to go pick them up and to go help them because they had nowhere else to turn. Unfortunately, we identified a very long list of people that had overdosed 3 or more times, some as high as 10 to 12 times. Our goal with this was to take specialized deputies that were very sensitive to drug addiction and have them go out and find these people and once again to offer them our services. Some have gone with us as we have gone to their house. Some have left with us to go to treatment. Some not ready, but we give them information and we let them know this is how you can do it if you want to do it. We've made that information available on our our website, just so they know that they've got somewhere to turn. Those are the victims. Those are the ones that we care about the most. I don't care about drug traffickers. So when I talk to you next about what our plan was, these are drug traffickers and drug dealers, not those that are addicted to drugs. We take care of those. My primary goal was, we know we're not going to arrest our way out of this problem, but we have to do our part. My job is to eliminate the sources of heroin and fentanyl in our community. That's my job. We hooked up with the U.S. Attorney. We hooked up with DEA. We started Operation Hot Batch. Our main goal was to find the big targets, the big sources of heroin and fentanyl coming into our community. It took us all the way to Miami. It took us all the way north to Gainesville, because we were not looking for just a low-level dealer. I wanted their sources. I wanted to know who they were getting it from. It took us to Mexico. It took us deeper than you could have ever imagined. But that's what I wanted. We had one dealer who, I guess he was not having the success he wanted with his clients, so he actually went to one of our treatment facilities and sold fentanyl out of the parking lot. That's what we were dealing with. That's why I say I have absolutely no sympathy for these people. We can talk about minimum mandatory sentencing, but these people know that they are selling a drug that is killing people, and they did not care. All they cared about was the bottom dollar. That's all they cared about. All in all, we have arrested over 55 individuals that are suspected, that have been convicted, many of them, of dealing and trafficking in heroin and fentanyl. Have charges combined over 170 federal indictments. Now, we went federal. Thank you. And I'll tell you why we had to go federal. Because Heather, the state attorney, did not have the teeth that they needed to be able to prosecute those individuals in the state side, because at that time, fentanyl was considered a controlled substance. And that's really what we're talking about, y'all. When we talk about the drug that's killing people, it's the fentanyl. So we're talking about the fentanyl and carfentanil. I'm sure everybody has been informed about that. So we didn't have the statute that really covered that controlled substance. We wanted the penalties of carfentanil and fentanyl to match that of heroin. We didn't have that, which means if you had 500 grams of fentanyl, there was no trafficking associated with it. Your penalty was very little. There was nothing for Heather and for Ed and all of the people at the state attorney's office really helped us on. The federal law was different. So all these suspects were taken on the federal side. And this is what I like about using the federal side when we can. I like it when the suspect gets in our car and wants to know where he's going, if he's going to Tampa or if he's going to the port, because he knows when we say Tampa that he's not getting out for a while. And that's what we want to do. We want to send a message that we're not going to tolerate that here in our county. Once again, we know we're not going to arrest our way out of this. Every time we have people that are taken away from our community, we always know there's someone ready to take their place. That's why we continue to work Operation Hot Batch. The U.S. Attorney actually helped us. They reduced that threshold they have in trying cases. And it helped us with some lower end amounts, because they knew that we were going to be able to take it to the next level. And by doing that, these dealers and traffickers are not even going to trial. They're pleading out, and they're taking their time, and they serve the whole amount of time. So if they get 5 years, they get 5 years. If they get 20 years, they get 20 years. There's no early out for good behavior or none of that. They got to serve their time. So we continue to fight that and trying to make sure that our community is safer than it was 2 years ago. And let me give you a few examples of what has happened. In 2016, we had 1,249 overdose cases in Manatee County. Out of those, 123 people died. The first 6 months of 2017, we had 736 overdoses and 69 people died. So even as we started to work Operation Hot Batch, these are very long, hard cases to work, because each one you got to find the probable cause. You had to send in your confidential informants. They're very difficult to work. But let me give you a comparison. So the first 6 months of last year were not much better than 2016, and we were starting to get a little, we're starting to feel bad about whether or not we were going to be able to touch this thing, or we going to be able to help anybody. I didn't know if we were going to be able to make an impact. But then the last half of 2017 is when we saw some of our success. In the last 6 months of 2016 now, 90 people died. So the last 6 months of 2016, 90 people died. We had well over 1,000 overdoses. But the last 6 months of 2017, we had 246 overdoses, and 23 people died. So 23 people died compared to 90. This year, we've had 2 people die. So we're seeing some results. Now I need to make it clear to all of you that we work with our treatment providers. We work very closely with Centerstone, Prodigal Daughters, Loving Hands, and making sure that the victims get all the attention they need. We opened up the recovery pods. You heard me talk about that before, making sure that those that are in our jail, we're not arresting them, but bottom line is they have to have a means of supporting their habit. So unfortunately, they commit those minor crimes that get them in trouble because they're trying to support their habit. So when we have them in our jail, we put them in the recovery pods. And we start the 12-step program there. And we try to get them onto a road of recovery. And then we stay with them when they get out. So we're seeing some positive results. We will continue to work it. We will continue to do everything that we can to get rid of the dealers and the traffickers. And that's just going to be an all-day, everyday, 12-month process. It will never go away. It will be here as long as I'm here. We will always be fighting to get the drugs out of our community. And that's why education is so important. That's why it's important for me to get SROs back in elementary schools. We need to start talking to our kids at a very young age about the harmful effects of all drugs, and getting back to the basics and just kind of listening to them and sharing our stories with them. My goal this year, as we continue to work on Operation Hot Batch, is Project Safe Neighborhoods. We have a lot of convicted felons in our community and abroad that are carrying firearms. They are our targets. They no longer have the right to carry a gun. They haven't purchased a gun legally. They use it to commit crimes and to do other things. So we have identified, we will work our cases. We will bring those to Heather, see what prosecute. If you saw her mean face up here during the presentation, you know how Heather gets when it's time to buckle down, and we will try to get the guns, the illegal guns, off of our streets. The community and law enforcement have to work together to be successful in any community. We always have to be sharing information. Social media, anonymous tips, you name it. We have seen an increase in the involvement from our community because we all have kids here. We all live here. We want to make it safe. So I appreciate all of you doing your part as well. God bless you, and I'll answer any questions if you have some. Yes, sir.
I don't want to give any people in the back room back here that make any decisions about what goes on in the county.
Mm-hmm.
But when you cover for a highway patrolman, does our county get reimbursed for that since we're taking away from our county budget?
No. No, sir. The question is, do we get reimbursed for working traffic crashes for FHP? No, because technically, that's part of our job as well. We handle all law enforcement related functions inside of the county. Just because they can't do it, we still have to provide that service. I wish we did get reimbursed, but that's just part of our job. We just need to try to get them back on their feet so they can do more of it. Yes, sir.
How many officers do you have per 10,000 in the population of Manatee County? And how does that compare with some national standards as to what we should have?
Well, I can tell you that we have 511 sworn. All right, so we got 268,000. I hate to even use 268,000 in the unincorporated parts of Manatee County because, I mean, we do so much more. I don't know if you know this, but criminals don't know city boundaries. I have found that out. They come into the county as well. So we help out the beaches during holidays when they have events going on. We help out the city of Bradenton. We help out the city of Palmetto with our crime scene unit, with our SWAT unit. So, I mean, realistically, we're about 50 deputies short. That's a lowball number, and I want the county commissioners know that. I mean, and they work very, very hard with us trying to get that number up where it needs to be. But that's a lot of money. So we have to spread it out as much as we can. So some of the other people in Manatee County can get money as well. You know, we already eat a big chunk of that up. So I'm just going to try to do what I can to get more positions every year. Thank you for the question. Commissioner.
School resource officers. I don't think people understand where you have school resource officers, where you don't, and how they're paid for. Maybe you could comment on that, because I know it's going to be an issue coming forward.
Absolutely. We have school resource officers in every high school and middle school in Manatee County. Back before 2007, 2008, when the recession hit, we had 5 elementary school SROs that moved. They had about 5 schools per deputy, and they would move to the different locations every week. We have none in the elementary schools now. Those positions were cut by the county and by the school board as they had to make up the difference during the recession. We currently, we've been talking with the school board. Right now they want at least 3 more back in the elementary. We're working. We need more. Once again, I know they have. It's a money thing. So right now we're working on bringing 3 more back into the elementary schools. Now right now I can tell you we have all available resources out there. I have reserve deputies working around these schools now. We have our detectives, but you know we can only do so much with what we have. But we're going to keep at least the reserve deputies and those non-paid employees out there because they still are certified deputies and they still have arrest powers. They just don't get paid for it. So we have to continue to think about and have dialogue about what we want to do in the future with our elementary schools. I would prefer to have a SRO in every single elementary school, and we will have to try to make that happen. But we've already been. I want you to know we've been talking with Dr. Green and her staff as early as this morning before I came here, and trying to do what we can to make our schools safe. We got to harden the target. We got to harden the target. Yes, ma'am.
This may be kind of a stupid idea, but if the traffic here is so bad with people speeding, what if the money that the tickets, where does that money go to?
There are several, by statute, the money goes to several different locations, different programs that the state has mandated. I can tell you that law enforcement is not one of them. Yeah. I'll tell you that, and I know I'm a softie, but tickets are high already. I mean, they are outrageous. When I was later on in my life, as we started to get the increases every year on traffic citations, it kind of hard for me to write some of them, I'll be honest with you, because you knew that it was going to be hard for those families to pay, $200 for some of these things. So I think the money is already there. The fines are high enough. It's just where they taking the money, where are they putting it? They don't put it back into law enforcement like they should. Yes, sir.
Would you comment on your opinions on possibly letting the SROs be armed in our schools, considering what happened a couple of days ago?
Our SROs are armed. Yes, yeah.
They were not allowed to carry a weapon.
No, deputy sheriffs can. These are deputy sheriffs.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and they are the only ones that are armed, and we need more of them. Yes.
Yeah, I just attended your active shooter class in the crime prevention department. I just wanted to say that I thought it was a very good class, that people were real professional in putting on that program. My question to you is, you say you met with the school board, superintendent. Have they asked you at this point in time to maybe put a program together to go into the schools like the one that I attended? Maybe key down a little bit because it was a little intense, and obviously you don't want to scare the children in the schools. But is that something that you've noticed on?
No, I can tell you that we have done things in the past with the staff, and we have had some discussions on what we're going to do. I'm not going to go into everything, no disrespect, but a lot of that stuff we want to keep private because we've got some security issues that we don't want to deal with. But you're on the right page, okay? We're going to be doing more training. I've let Dr. Green know that we are there to train her staff, to train any of her teachers, whoever they need. We will bring our people in to do the training because we are trained the best. So we're working to increase that. Yes, sir. Thank you. All the way in the back. Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever thought of being on live TV? Because I'm sure they pay well.
Yeah.
It's very popular.
They reach out to different. Usually they go by population. So I guess we don't have enough people. They've gone to Pasco and I think Hillsborough County, but I think we've got to reach the 500,000 mark before they'll put us on there. And I don't want 500,000 people in Manatee County, so I'll stay off. Anybody else? Hey, God bless y'all. Thank you so much.
Sheriff Wells, we greatly appreciate you being here. We greatly appreciate you keeping our community safe. As a token of our appreciation, it is my pleasure to give you the Kiwanis Golden Rule to help you measure your future success and the undoubted success of the Manatee County Sheriff's Office and public safety in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for attending, and I hope you have a wonderful week. God bless each and every one of you. We are adjourned.